بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وبعد. So far what we have been doing is, as a quick reminder, in ilm al-sarf is we conjugated the 10 patterns of the trilateral verb. So we took fa'ala, 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 af'ala, tafa'ala, tafa'ala, infa'ala, ifta'ala, if'ala, and istaf'ala. So all of these verbs have 3 original letters. And then from pattern 2 onwards, we have increased letters. So here we have tad'if al-ayn, that we double the ayn. We have adding an alif, adding a hamza, adding a ta and a ayn. Ta and alif, noon sakina. Ta with fatha and make the fa sakina, and so on. And then what we did with that is we conjugated the past tense, present tense, and command for each of them in the various forms of the verb. Then after that, we did the passive forms of the verb. So we made the past tense and present tense passive, and of course the command, there's no passive form of the command. We did that. And then we looked last week at verbs with weak letters. And there's more to do in that. And there's a lot more to learn with verbs. What we've done so far are the verbs with 3 original letters. We have to look at verbs with 4 original letters, and 5 and 6. But inshallah, I thought that we will punctuate the discussion of ilm al-sarf on verbs and go to nouns for briefly, and then we'll go back to grammar, and later on come back to sarf, ilm al-sarf again, to keep it moving, inshallah. So today what we would look at are forming 3 nouns, or ثلاثة أسماء من الفعل. So we form 3 nouns from the verb, and these 3 nouns are used extensively in the Arabic language. So first, what I want to explain is the concept, so you understand the concept in English, and then we'll go ahead and study it in Arabic. So you have a verb, you have a subject. So to give you an example, if we were to say drink, he drank. So normally when we use the verb, we look at the third person singular masculine as the source, fa'ala, as the original form of the verb. And based on that, we form the other, we conjugate the verbs. So we just take, here we just have the singular masculine, third person past tense form of the verb, fa'ala, 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 and so on. So if we were to have a noun like, let me just pull up a page with examples. If we have a noun like drank, he drank, he, E-R-A-N-K, drank, then from that, we have to form the name of the person who performs the action, and we'll say drinker. So in English, we say drinker, and then the thing that received the action, we'll say D-R-U-N-K, drunk. So, and I'll give an example in a second. And then the action itself, the act, D-R-I-N-K-I-N-G, drinking, we call that the verbal noun, or gerund in English language. So for instance, if we were to say the boy drank the milk, we would say, based on Arabic structure, I'll give you in Arabic in a second, drank is the verb, the boy is the fa'il, is the drinker, the boy is the drinker, and the milk is the thing that was drunk. And the action is drinking. So if we do this in Arabic now, as an example, switch to Arabic. We would say شرب الولد الحليب. So I just put in some vowels here, make it easy for you to read. شرب الولد الحليب. So this is the same as the boy drank the milk. شرب الولد الحليب. Actually, it's nearly the same. But because we put the verb first, the subject second, and the object after, that's the structure in Arabic language. But in English, we normally would put the subject first, the verb second, and the object third. If you do this in Arabic, it means something else. If we were to say al-waladu sharib al-haliba, it means something else from sharib al-waladu al-haliba, but I don't want to go into that detail right now. Suffice to say is that here we have, let me make this a little bigger so you all can read it clearly. So the way we would say this, we'll say al-fi'alu shariba. So we're analyzing this sentence, and we'll say the fi'al, the verb is shariba. Al-waladu al-fa'ilu. The subject or the doer of the action is al-waladu. And al-haliba al-maf'ulu bi. That the halib is the thing in which that receives the action. In English, we say verb, subject, and object. And the action itself is drinking, is even though it's not in the sentence, if we were to form it, we say shurb. Shurb. Shurb mean drinking. And we would learn how to use the masdar, the verbal noun, in Arabic. Inshallah, that's a different lesson. But that being said, this is what it means to say al-fi'alu, al-fa'ilu, al-maf'ulu bihi, and al-fi'alu. So we can actually put that in a sentence itself. It's kind of crazy to say that, but we'll say, sorry, shariba. Shariba, ash-sharibu, al-mashruba, al-mashruba, shurban. Shurban. This is actually a real sentence. I'll explain it. Shariba, ash-sharibu, al-mashruba, shurban. It's a real sentence. What it means, if we were to translate it, the drinker drank the drunk, the thing that was drunk, drunk. And we emphasize it. This shurban, we use the masdar to emphasize it. So the drinker rigorously, R-I-G-E-R-O-U-S, rigorously. No, sorry, I spelled that wrong. Rigorously. So rigorously is actually used as an adverb in English. It describes how the drinking was done, which is exactly what the masdar is used here for. So we want to say that the person was drinking it and he was really going at it. Huh? And that's what one of the usage of the masdar is, to emphasize the action of the actor. So شرب شارب المشروب شربا. We could have actually put that in here also and say, use it here like this. I forget to switch languages. شرب الولد الحليب شربا. For example, if we wanted to say, Mom, you should have seen him drink the milk. I mean, شرب الولد الحليب شربا. You really went at it. That's what we use the master to emphasize. So here what we do, if we were to compare these two sentences, we will say, الشارب. We're actually making sentences now. Oh, sorry. شرب الفعل. So we actually make the sentences. شرب is the verb. الشارب الفاعل. Or you could have done it the other way around and say الفاعل الولد. Sorry. الشارب الولد. That the boy is the drinker. المشروب الحليب. That the thing that was drunk is the milk. And المصدر شربا. That shurban is the masdar, the action. So in English, we make up these words, drinker and eater and killer. But a lot of times we don't even have words for them. Just like here, instead of saying al-mashrub, I said a thing that was drunk. I had to make a big phrase because there's no other way to say this, or maybe there is. If anybody can come up with a clever way of saying that in the sentence, smaller or shorter than the thing that was drunk. The drinker drank the drunk. We don't say that. The drinker drank. If you don't say the thing that was, then to say the drinker drank the drunk is it's going to be misleading in English. But in Arabic, there's a structure to form these words. You just don't add suffixes and prefixes and tweak the words and twist the words and bend them out of shape to form words. No, we have patterns for them. So let's come back to the lesson for today. So these are أوزان الأسماء من الأفعال الثلاثية. That these are patterns of asma for the trilateral verbs. And we'll start off with the 10 patterns. So let me ask a question before I continue. You guys understand that concept? Anyone? Hello? Ania, are you there? Laila, Salwa?
Yes, what concept? Which one? The
Yeah, what I just explained here.
Al-Masdar? Yes.
Yeah, well, the fa'il, the maf'ul bihi, and the masdar.
Yes.
Yeah. So the concept of al-fa'il, al-maf'ul bihi, and the masdar. So we'll go ahead and show you the patterns and then use examples, inshallah. So fa'ala, the first pattern, the fa'il is on the pattern of fa'il. So we'll say ismul fa'il fa'ilun. So the name of the subject, ismul fa'il, name of subject, is actually on the pattern of fa'il. So for instance, if we were to say kataba, we would say katibun. ضرب ضارب. جلس جالس. قرأ قارئ. Anything. سجد ساجد. أكل آكل. So you take any verb on the pattern of fa'ala, put it on the pattern of fa'ilun, and that's the name of the one who did the action. So if we were to, give me one second. If we were to look at some of these verbs that we have up here, alima, alimun, kataba, كاتب جلس جالس درس دارس قتل قاتل ذكر ذاكر دخل داخل خرج خارج. Those are real words. You just take the verb, put an alif after between the fa and the ain, like let's take دخل da, and then you put a kasra on the ain. This is the pattern. This is always the case. And then you put tanween, dhamma on the ending. داخل. That's how we form ismul fa'il from the verb itself. And that's easy. Ismul maf'ul is actually on the pattern of maf'ul. So if we were to go back to those verbs and we were to change these into maf'ul, who wants to do this one? What would alima be?
معلوم.
Ma'lumun. Yeah. So we'll say alima is the verb, alimun is ismul fa'il, and ma'lumun is ismul maf'ul bih. So do the same for kataba.
كتب كاتب مكتوب.
Very good. Jalasa.
جلس جالس مجلوس.
Yeah. it would, for example, we would say al-kursiyu al-majlusu alayhi. جلست على الكرسي الكرسي المجلوس عليه. This chair is the thing that I sat on. So you probably want to know, how can we use the word majlus? That would be an example. Yeah. Go ahead. Darasa. Darasa is al-fi'alu, and al-fa'il is darisun, and al-maf'ulu bihi madrusun. Qatala is al-fi'alu, qatilun is al-fa'ilu, al-maqtulu is al-maf'ulu bihi. قتل القاتل المقتول. The killer killed the one that was killed. ذكر ذاكر مذكور مذكور. دخل داخل مدخول. خرج خارج مخروج. Probably want to know, how can you use the word دخل and خرج as اسم المفعول? We would say, for example, الباب المدخول فيه. The door is the thing that I entered through. You can use it the opposite way also. الباب المخروج منه. That the door was the thing that I exited from. So that's اسم الفاعل and اسم المفعول. As for the masdar, for
مقفولة يا ماما. دوسي الشاشة فوق. دوسي الشاشة فوق. ماما عيني لي هنا.
what's that?
دقيقة يا أستاذ لحظة.
No problem. So as for the masdar for fa'ala, there are many patterns that they're on. So I just mentioned one here. So the masdar for fa'ala is not always fa'alun. Sometimes it is. For example, nasara, nasrun, or nasran. The masdar is on fa'alun, or qatala, qatlun, or darasa, darsan. So the pattern of fa'alun is one of the patterns, but there are many. I'm going to show you, but we wouldn't study it now because I want to show you the rest of the patterns. The second pattern of the verb all the way to the 10 has only one pattern, and the third has two patterns for the masdar. But this one here has many patterns. The fa'ala has many patterns for the masdar, and you have to learn each one separately. You have to learn each one separately. So if we have a verb on fa'ala, the pattern would be a clear pattern. Fa'ala, we have two patterns. Af'ala, there's a single pattern. But when it comes to fa'ala, there are many patterns for the masdar. So I only gave you one. Examples of that would be nasara, nasran, and darasa, darsan, and qatala, qatlan. But we have many other patterns for the verb that comes on fa'ala or fa'ila or fa'ula. How do we learn the patterns? We're going to learn them with each verb. There are some systems you try to memorize, but they're very complex. The best way is to learn the pattern of the masdar for fa'ala and fa'ila and fa'ula. So let's go over that again. Fa'ala is the verb. Fa'ilun is ismul fa'il. Maf'ulun is ismul maf'ul. And fa'alun is one of the patterns of the masdar. I only give you one, but there are many, which we have to study independently for each verb. So which means you're going to learn many patterns, and the way you learn them is that when you come across a verb, you ask, what's the pattern of the masdar? The second pattern of the verb fa'ala, it's fixed for the ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and the masdar. So if the verb is on the pattern of fa'ala, ismul fa'il would be mufa'ilun. Ismul maf'ul would be, let me make these bigger so you can read them easy. Ismul fa'il is mufa'ilun. Ismul maf'ul mufa'alun. So the ayn has a kasra in ismul fa'il, and the ayn has a fatha in ismul maf'ul. And the masdar is on the pattern of taf'il. Taf'il. So let's say we were to go to allama and use as an example. I will do allama. We say allama is al-fi'lu, and ismul fa'il is mu'allimun. Mu'allimun. This ismul maf'ul mu'allamun. And the masdar is ta'limun. Ta'lim. Do you follow that? Sister Salwa, would you like to try, or Layla, would you like to try darrasa?
Okay, which one? Darrasa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, darrasa.
Yeah.
Mudarrisun.
أيوة, that's اسم الفاعل.
Mudarrasun.
مدرس is اسم المفعول.
Mudarrasun. Tadrisun.
Correct. تدريس would be the masdar. تدريس. So in علم and درس, because they mean pretty much the same thing. علم mean he taught. درس mean he taught. The teacher is معلم مدرس. See that? That's the pattern. The student is mu'allamun, the one who has been taught, and mudarrasun, that's the student, the one who has been taught. And the teaching, the act of teaching, is ta'aleem and tadris. See that? And of course, you know those words. You know Arabic, you know those words. But now they take on new meaning, telling you exactly what message they are conveying. If we were to use qattala, what would be ismul fa'il? Sister Laila, would you like to try? Qattala, muqattilun, muqattalun, taqtilun. تقتيل ذكر مذكر مذكر تذكير سبح مسبح مسبح تسبيح كذب مكذب مكذب تكذيب عدد معدد معدد تعديد. So those are examples of verbs, or the asma for the verb and the pattern of fa'ala. If we go to fa'ala, so on the third pattern of the trilateral verb, fa'ala, ismul fa'il is on the pattern of mufa'ilun. Ismul maf'ul, mufa'alun. And the masdar, we have two patterns for the masdar on the third pattern of the trilateral verb, mufa'alatun and fi'alun. So both mufa'ala is an acceptable pattern, and also fi'alun. So let's take some examples for fa'ala. If we were to say, so if we say safara, safara, which means he traveled, the traveler would be called musafirun. If you're traveling and you want to tell somebody, I'm traveling, I'm a traveler, you say, ana musafirun, I'm a traveler. That's ismul fa'il min safara. Safartu fa ana musafirun. Now we will just learn the pattern for the object. Musafarun. How we use it would be a little bit complex, but that is the pattern if we wanted. The pattern of the action itself is musafaratun and sifarun. Musafaratun and sifarun. Because those words are not used a lot in Arabic language, it probably doesn't resonate with you, Sister Salwa and Laila, but let me give you one that would probably resonate. I'm sure you probably heard it before, these words. Let's take jahada. So if we were to take jahada, we will say the person who does the action is called mujahidun. The object of the action, mujahadun, ismul fa'il. Sorry, ismul maf'ul bihi. Ismul maf'ul. Al-maf'ul bihi is mujahadun. And the action is both mujahadatun and jihadun. See that? I'm quite sure everybody knows the word jihad. It's the masdar from jahada. And also mujahadatun. The same for darasa, mudarisun, mudarasun, mudarasatun, and dirasun. Kataba, mukatibun, mukatabun, mukatabatun, and kitabun. By the way, the word kitab that means book is different from the word kitab that is the masdar from kataba. So kitab is a different word from mukataba. Qatala, muqatilun, that's the fighter. Muqatalun, that's the one you're fighting, the person you're fighting. And muqatalatun and qitalun, both are masdar for this trilateral verb. So that's the fourth pattern. Sorry, the third pattern.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So all the verbs in the third pattern, they have two masdars or only some of them?
Just the third. Only
yeah,
number.
but all the verbs in the third have two patterns for the masdar.
That is correct. Now, the two patterns are two possible patterns, but sometimes one is used a lot more than the other. Huh?
And is there a difference in the meaning?
No, they're both masdar. It's just two patterns. It just give you variety in the language. For example, for the verb qatala, qitalun is used a lot. Jahada, jihadun is used a lot. But if you were to say, instead of saying waqa qitalun bayna katha wa katha, you could say waqa muqatalatun bayna katha wa katha, it would be correct. Huh? Also the same thing. يعني كان هناك جهاد بين الفريقين. You can say كان هناك مجاهدة بين الفريقين. But jihad is much more popular. So both words are, both masdar are possible for the third form of the trilateral verb, but one may be more popular usage. So both are patterns that are there. This lesson here, the object of this lesson is try to memorize it if you can. I think it's an excellent lesson to memorize. It makes you understand structure, excuse me, of the Arabic language. But by usage is when it's going to register. And as we read Quran and we come across a word that is ismul fa'il or ismul maf'ul or masdar, we will come back to that and state it for you. Af'ala. So on the fourth pattern of the trilateral verb, I'll go through all 10, and then we'll probably jump into the Quran and look for some examples, inshallah. That would be a great exercise. So if we have af'ala, that's the fourth pattern of the trilateral verb. And here, sisters and Radane, I'm giving you only 3 nouns forming from these words. There are many more patterns of the asma. I just want to start off small and take the most popular, ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and the masdar, and then we'd look at other stuff, inshallah. For example, ismul makan, ismul zakan, ismul ala, things like that. But for now, we just started off with just these 3. Memorize these 3 patterns of the nouns from the verbs, and then we would learn more, inshallah. Af'ala. Ismul fa'il would be muf'ilun. Ismul maf'ul would be muf'alun. And the fi'al would be if'alun. And this here is so popular in Arabic language. This pattern is used a lot in the Arabic language and in Quran. So when we use the example, you'll see they would resonate with you. You would recognize them. So let's take, for example, a'lama. We would say mu'alimun. A'lama means to announce. A'lamtu kada wa kada. I announce such and such a thing. Fa'ana mu'alimun. I'm the announcer. And the thing that I announce is mu'alamun. And the announcement is i'alam. I'alamun. Or inform people of. A'lana would mean to announce. A'lama mean also to inform. So a'lana, na with a noon, if we were to use that also, we would say mu'alin, mu'alan, and i'alan. Let's take the verb adkhala. The ismul fa'il would be mudkhilun. Ismul maf'ul would be mudkhalun. And al-masdar would be idkhalun. So if we were to use an example, if we were to say أدخل الله المؤمن الجنة. أدخل الله المؤمن الجنة إدخالا. Allah gave the believer entrance into Jannah. And then idkhalan is emphasizing the action. We would just say, how do we emphasize that in English? أدخل الله المؤمن الجنة إدخالا. Allah gave the believer hasty entrance into Jannah, for instance. That's the word that we would use to emphasize the action. We use an adjective. Excuse me, an adverb. So we'll say adkhala al-fi'lu, Allahu al-mudkhil. Allah is the one who make the believer enter. Al-mu'minu al-mudkhal. He is the one who has been given entrance. And the action is al-idkhal. Same for akhraja. Akhraja, mukhrijun, mukhrajun, and ikhrajun. اسم الفاعل, اسم المفعول, and المصدر. أنعم, منعم, منعم, إنعام. So for example, if we were to say أنعم الله على المؤمنين إنعاما, we'll say الله المنعم. أنعم is الفعل, الله المنعم, المؤمنين المنعمون عليهم, and إنعام is the action. أنفق المنفق or منفق اسم الفاعل, منفق اسم المفعول, that's the one who you spend on. أنفق means to spend. منفق is the one who spends. منفق is the one you spend upon. And infaq is the action or the act of spending. Let's go to the fifth. I'm just going to go through all of them and then we'll
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The munfaqun is the one who is spent on, or is it
Yes.
the thing that is being spent? If it is maf'ul, ism al-maf'ul.
So yeah, yes. So that can be used for both of those. So let's take that is correct, sister. So it can be used for both of them, but one of them you would need to use a preposition with it. So let me give you an example. If we were to say anfaqa Muhammadun al-mala ala zawjatihi. So if we were to use, let me write that down actually, so you all can see it. So if we were to use, if we were to say anfaqa Muhammadun Hammadun ala al-mala ala zawjatihi. Okay, so I'll put in the vowels here so you all can read it easily. أنفق محمد اسم الفاعل المال على زوجته. So we would say أنفق الفعل, محمد الفاعل, المال المفعول به, and we'll say الزوجة أو زوجته المفعولة عليها. When we use the word أنفق, we'll say محمد المنفق. So let me write that down. We'll say محمد المنفق. المنفق. Muhammad is the one who did the spending. Al-mala, al-malu, sorry, we're making sentences. Al-munfaqu. Al-munfaqu. The wealth is the thing that was spent. But then we'll say az-zawjatu, az-zawjatu, al-munfaqatu alayha, alayha. That the one he spent upon. So we will use al-munfaq. Oh, let me put in this vowel at least, so we differentiate between the two. Al-munfiqi, and I'll put in that also to make it easier to read. Al-munfiqu, al-munfaqu, az-zawjatu al-munfaqu. Oops. Why is he doing that? To alayha. supposed to be a gene. الزوجة. And then we'll say المصدر الإنفاق إنفاق المصدر الإنفاق المصدر. So here we say أنفق محمد المال على زوجته. Just a little technicality here I want to explain to you, just in imla. Has nothing to do with grammar or sarf. When we read this, we would say أنفق, listen carefully, محمد, not dun, do. And then we'll say nil mala. So we'll actually kind of put in a noon, we'll drop the tanween and put that there, oops, and we put a dhamma, and we'll imagine there's a noon sakina, but then you have noon sakina meeting with lam sakina, so you have to put a kasra on the noon sakina. That's what's happening. So we take the tanween and turn it into a noon sakina. But of course, you don't write it like that, you write it like this. أنفق محمد المال على زوجته. That's the classical way of saying this. Of course, it's not easy and most people wouldn't do that. محمد المنفق. Same way we'll say محمد المنفق, sorry. محمد المنفق. Muhammad is the one who did the spending. المال المنفق. So the wealth is the one, the thing that was spent. But we would also use ismul maf'ul for the zawja. But we'll have to use the preposition. We'll say az-zawjatu al-munfaqatu alayha. And of course, instead of saying al-munfaqu, that wouldn't work. Why it wouldn't work? Because this here is feminine. You have to make the khabar feminine also here. See that? We will have to say al-munfaqatu. We don't say al-munfaqu because he's a female. Az-zawjatu al-munfaqatu alayha. So this means the wealth was what was spent, and the zawja is the one that was spent upon. So you'll use the ismul maf'ul for both of them, but the direct ismul maf'ul sister is the wealth that was spent, and the zawja the one the wealth was spent upon, and the action is al-infaq. So coming back to fifth pattern of the verb, tafa'ala. The ism al-fa'il is mutafa'ilun, ism al-maf'ul mutafa'alun, and al-masdar tafa'ulun. So if we were to use that in example, so we say ta'allama, ta'allama, which means to study. Ism al-fa'il would be what? متعلم. اسم المفعول متعلم. أنا المصدر تعلم. تخرج, which means to graduate, comes from kharaja, which means to exit. And when it's time to leave the school forever, we would say تخرج. Excuse me, تخرج, which means to graduate. The person graduating is mutakharrijun. The school that you graduated from would be mutakharrajatun minha. And graduation is takharrujun. Tadakhala. Tadakhala come from the verb dakhala on the pattern of tafa'ala. And it's normally used for a metaphorical meaning, or not literal, figurative, entering into something figuratively. For example, getting involved in something. For example, we say تدخل في موضوع كذا وكذا. The person got involved in such and such a matter. The اسم الفاعل will be متدخل بكسر الخاء, and the مفعول به will be متدخل and the masdar would be تدخل. تذكر, which means to reflect upon something or to remember something. تذكر. متذكر. متذكر, the thing you remember. And تذكر would be the masdar. That's the fifth form of the verb. Um,
Sheikh, can I go back a little bit? I'm slightly confused about something. In
Go ahead.
the on the fourth pattern,
Mhm.
af'ala, right? I'm trying to make sense of this in English, and maybe my approach is incorrect. Af'ala, so anfaqa, right, is spending,
Mhm.
and the masdar is infaq, which you just mentioned is the act of spending, right?
Mhm.
So in the example that you gave, which was the act of spending, that was the transaction itself, like like Muhammad spending on his wife,
Mhm.
or so that entire transaction would be infaq,
Mhm.
which was hidden in the sentence.
Mhm.
Okay,
So let me
perfect.
explain
That's the
the
only.
let me explain the difference between the verb and the masdar. The verb is associated with the doer. The masdar is the action without mentioning who the doer is. So this is just the action.
Okay.
This is the action associated with an actor. Af'ala actually mean he did. Are you following me? He did something.
Yeah.
So there is an inherent subject built in the verb itself. Every verb in Arabic has a fa'il included in the verb, and it's understood. So the way we would analyze, excuse me, أفعل, we would say أفعل فعل ماض مبني على الفتحة والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هو. So there is a فاعل. So the verb is إسناد الفعل, which is إفعال, إلى الفاعل. So this is associating the action with the doer and making a word out of that. So إفعال means spending. Sorry, أنفق, infaq means spending. أنفق is associating spending with the doer he and saying أفعل. If you associate it with she, you say أنفقت. Are you following me? So we
Yes.
say إسناد الفعل, إسناد المصدر إلى الفاعل is what create the فعل, the verb. The association of the action with the doer to make the verb. So this is the verb, the action, and the actor, and this is only the action. So if you have the verb with the actor and you strip the actor from the verb, then you're left with the action. So anfaqa, he spent. If we take out he, we're left with infaq. That's what the masdar is. So we're isolating the action from the doer. So if
Makes
we were
sense.
to,
Makes sense.
so if we were to say the boy drank the milk in English, let me explain that in English. The boy drank the milk. شرب الولد الحليب شربا. شرب mean he drank. شرب mean he drank. Who is the one who did the drinking? Who is the he? It's al-walad, the boy. If we were to take shariba and isolate the doer, remove the doer and just leave the drinking, and we don't say who did it, that's what shurb means. Drinking. Are you following me? So drinking is taking out the he from the he drank, and then you're left with just drinking.
Got it.
Yeah. So the difference between al-masdar and al-fi'l is al-fi'lu إسناد المصدر. إسناد الفعل إلى الفاعل is associating the action with the doer. Depending on who the fa'il is, the verb will change. So if it's a boy, you say shariba. If it's a girl, you say sharibat. If it's you, we say sharibta. If it's you speak to a girl, sharibti. So when the musnad ilayhi change, the one that you associate the action with changes, the verb change. And that's what we did in the conjugation of the verbs before. So the masdar is the action isolated from any doer. It's just the action. Yeah. And by the way, we use the masdar a lot in Arabic. And when you are an eloquent speaker, you use the masdar sometimes instead of the verb. For example, in this sentence here, I can restructure the sentence for you. I'll show you. So we say أنفق محمد على زوجته. So if I were to use the masdar instead of أنفق, look what I would do. Look what I would do. We would say إنفاق محمد and I sorry, what did I do? Muhammadin, and I made it. I did idafa. I say the spending of Muhammad al-mala ala zawjatihi صدقة. So let me explain what I just did here. The way we'll analyze this, we would say إنفاق محمد المال على زوجته is the مبتدأ and صدقة is the خبر. So I changed the verbal sentence الجملة الفعلية to a جملة اسمية by removing the verb and putting the masdar instead. But then I associate the masdar to Muhammad by the means of idafa. So I say the spending, the way we translate is the spending of Muhammad, or Muhammad spending the money or the wealth on his wife is sadaqah. Are you following me? Muhammad spending the money on his wife is sadaqah. So this, all of this become the mubtada. And the way it works, the way we analyze this, we would say infaqu mubtada marfu'un wa alamatu raf'a dhamma. And we'll say infaqu mudafun muhammadun mudafun ilay. And then we will say al-mala maf'ulun bihi lil masdar. So the masdar actually does the action on the word al-mal. And this is technicality in Arabic language. We're going to learn these rules later on. And على زوجته is جار ومجرور متعلقان بالإنفاق. That the spending was done on the zawja. And then we'll say this is the mubtada and sadaqa is the khabar. So the spending is sadaqa. What spending? Who's spending? Muhammad spending. Spending of what? The wealth. Upon whom? On his wife. So Muhammad spending the wealth upon his wife is sadaqa. What is the sadaqa? The spending. Are you following me?
Yes.
And you follow that? So that's the usage of the masdar. By the way, this here is actually extremely eloquent. And this is used a lot in Quran, where Allah used the masdar instead of the verb. And you find the poets, they do it a lot also. It's kind of more poetic. Instead of saying أنفق محمد المال على زوجته, we say إنفاق محمد المال على زوجته, and we tell you something else about it. We tell you something else about the spending. Here we're just telling you that he spent, but here we're telling you his spending is actually considered sadaqah. So we did tafa'ala. Tafa'ala is very similar to tafa'ala, but instead of putting a shadda on the ayn, you put an alif after the fa, between the fa and the ayn. Tafa'ala, mutafa'ilun, mutafa'alun, and tafa'ulun. Observe. By the way, I'll just go ahead and highlight this for you. Other than the first pattern, fa'ilun and maf'ul, ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul on the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth pattern are identical except for one slight change. Ismul fa'il will have a kasra on the ayn always. Mufa'ilun, mufa'ilun, muf'ilun, mutafa'ilun, mutafa'ilun, munfa'ilun, mufta'ilun, the ninth is different. Mustaf'ilun, and the ism al-maf'ul will have a fatha. مفعل مفعل مفاعل مفاعل مفعل مفعل. So you notice that متفعل متفعل متفاعل متفاعل منفعل منفعل مفتعل مفتعل. And this one is both fatha, and I'll explain why for this pattern. مستفعل مستفعل. So the point I wanted to highlight, and we'll come back to the sixth pattern, is that ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul from the 2nd to the 10th, except the 9th, ismul fa'il would have kasra and ismul maf'ul would have fatha. That's the only difference between the two. And on the 9th, both of them have fatha. Coming back to the 6th, tafa'ala mutafa'ilun mutafa'alun tafa'ulan. Tafa'ulan is the masdar. So let's just do some quick examples for that. If we were to say ta'alama, ta'alama, which means the fake knowledge. Muta'alimun, that's the one who's faking knowledge. Muta'alamun is the knowledge he fakes. And ta'aluman is the faking of the knowledge. Taqatala, taqatala actually means a group of people fighting. And of course, we'll use it in the plural form. We'll say taqatalu, taqatalu. We will make it plural. Mutaqatilun is the one who's fighting, or mutaqatiluna, those who are fighting. We'll make it plural. Mutaqataluna, the ones they're fighting. And taqatul, taqatulun is the fighting. Tadarasa, tadarasa can mean two meanings. To fake studying. For example, if you're sitting in class and you make the teacher think you're studying, and you have the book open and you have a comic book in the middle, we would say yatadarasu. Yatadarasu meaning he's faking studying. That's one meaning. The other meaning would be a group of people studying together. And by the way, that's used in a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, وَمَا اجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بُيُوتِ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. Listen to this. وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ إِلَى آخِرِ الْحَدِيثِ. يَتَدَارَسُونَ, they are studying it together. تَدَارَسَ مُتَدَارِسٌ, the ones studying, or مُتَدَارِسُونَ plural. And tadarasun, the thing you're studying, and tadarusun, the studying itself together, or the faking of the studying. Tajalasa can mean the same thing, by the way. Tajalasa means the person is faking sitting, but he's not really sitting. He's hovering above the chair, for instance. So it's say yatajalasu, he's faking sitting. He's not really sitting. Or a group of people sitting together will say tajalasu. تجالس متجالس is اسم الفاعل, متجالس اسم المفعول, and تجالس is المصدر. إن فعل, إن فعل, the 7th pattern of the trilateral verb. اسم الفاعل منفعل, اسم المفعول منفعل, and المصدر اسم الفعل. Actually, you can say اسم الفعل, the name of the action. المصدر انفعال, انفعال. And note that the hamza is hamzatul wasl. It's only pronounced if you begin with it. So if we were to look at examples for that, we'll say انفتح منفتح بكسر التاء. منفتح, منفتح would be the masdar, excuse me, the اسم المفعول, and انفتاح would be the masdar. انفتاح. انفتح, by the way, means to open by itself. Huh? انفتح الباب. So for example, let's say the wind blew, right? Or the wind blew the door open, we would say انفتح الباب. The door just opened on itself. أنا ما فتحته. Somebody said, did you open the door? هل أنت فتحت الباب? And I would say, لا ما فتحت الباب. I did not open the door. انفتح الباب. The door opened on its own. So we'll say, check this out now. We'll say الباب المنفتح. You can also say المنفتح. Very hard to actually use this in the form of the مفعول. اسم المفعول. And the action of opening by itself انفتاح. انفتاح. انقسم means to split open by itself also. Normally this pattern is when something happens, something is done on its own without the input of anyone. انقسم to split or distribute something, or something distributed. انقسم اسم الفاعل منقسم اسم المفعول منقسم and المصدر انقسام. انبعث منبعث منبعث انبعاث is the مصدر. I know, guys, I know this is a lot, and I don't expect you to remember all of this. All you have to understand is that for every verb, there is ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and masdar. These are the patterns. Just keep them with you. Try to remember them. But as we come across them in Quran, when we do linguistic analysis of the verses, I'll remind you of them, of course. Ifta'ala. Ifta'ala, the eighth pattern of the trilateral verb. Ismul fa'il would be mufta'ilun. Ismul maf'ul would be mufta'alun. And the masdar would be ifti'alun. For instance, if we were to use some examples here, we would say iqtaraba. Iqtaraba, and I'm doing qalqala naturally on the qaf. Qaf sakina, you do qalqala, you echo it. اقترب. The اسم الفاعل would be مقترب ري بكسر الراء. اسم المفعول would be مقترب, and المصدر would be اقتراب. For example, Allah says اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر. اقتربت الساعة. The hour has drawn near. انتقل means to be transported. انتقل. اسم الفاعل منتقل. اسم المفعول منتقل. and المصدر انتقال. اقتتل, which mean also to fight. مقتتل. This ta here is the ta of ifta'ala, and the second ta is the ayn, of the verb, the second ta. اقتتل مقتتل مقتتل اقتتال اقتتال اقتتال. That's a tongue twister. The ninth pattern of the verb, interesting pattern. Why is that so? This pattern is only used for colors. I don't know any word on this pattern except colors. For example, إحمر, إخضر, إسود, إبيض, إزرق, إصفر, for instance. And it means to become that color. For example, we say إحمر الثوب بعد الغسل. إحمر الثوب بعد الغسل. So I said the clothing or the shirt or whatever it is, al-qamis, became red after washing. Why? Because you mix it, it's white, and you mix it with color clothes, and you find out the hard way that the color would spread into the white. That's how we would use the verb. Ismul fa'il would be مفعل. اسم المفعول also مفعل. And the فعل would be إفعلال. إفعلال. For example, we'd say اخضر مخضر is اسم الفاعل, and مخضر will be اسم المفعول, and technically اسم المفعول doesn't exist because the thing becomes, it's a transitive verb. So really I don't see مخضر بمعنى اسم المفعول ever being existing. And the masdar will be اخضرار, which means to become green. اسود, which means to become black. It would be مسود مسود and اسوداد. احمر محمر محمر احمرار. اصفر مصفر مصفر اصفرار. Yeah. And by the way, this you'll memorize a couple of words, and that's all on the 9th pattern. The 10th pattern, very important pattern, by the way, and used a lot in the Quran. I reminded you before, is to ask for the action. When you put Hamzatul Wasl, Sin Sakina, and Ta Maftuha, and then you make the Fa Sakina, is to ask for the action. So we say istafa'ala بمعنى طلب الفعل. استفعل means to ask for the action. اسم الفاعل مستفعل. اسم المفعول مستفعل. This is the one who's asking, this is the one who's being asked. And istif'alun is the asking for the action. Excuse me. So let's use it with words that you're familiar with. Some words. Ista'lama, which means to ask for information. Ista'lama, the one asking for the information will be musta'limun, ismul fa'il. The one he's asking it would be musta'lamun. The thing he's asking about would be musta'lamun anhu. And the action of asking would be isti'lamun, a verb that you all would know. Actually, these next three verbs you all are familiar with from Islamic context. Istaghfara, which means to ask for forgiveness. The person asking for forgiveness would be mustaghfirun. Mustaghfirun. Allah, the one who we ask for forgiveness, would be mustaghfarun. Mustaghfarun. And the thing you ask for forgiveness for would be mustaghfarun lahu. Mustaghfarun lahu. For example, you say istaghfartullah li dhanbi. I ask Allah for forgiveness for my sin, or I ask Allah's forgiveness for my sin. We would say ana al-mustaghfir, I am the one asking forgiveness. Allahu Rabbul Alameen al-mustaghfaru, the one I'm asking for forgiveness. Az-zambu al-mustaghfaru lahu, the thing I'm asking for forgiveness for. And the asking for forgiveness is istighfarun. And I'm quite sure everybody familiar with istighfar. Ista'ana, very similar. But because of the weak letter, things will change a little bit. Because of this weak letter, the alif, and also the weak letter alif here, this alif is originally waw, and this alif is originally ya. And I'll show you the changes that will take place. Ista'ana would be the verb. Musta'inu would be ismul fa'il. Musta'anu is ismul maf'ul. And Allah used that in Quran. Allah says, Wallahu al-musta'anu ala ma tasifun. Allah is the one I ask for help against what you people describe. That's Yaqub alayhi salam saying to his sons when they came back after throwing Yusuf alayhi salam in the well. Wallahu al-musta'anu wa ana al-musta'inu. I'm the one asking Allah's help. And the act of asking for help is al-isti'ana. Hmm. That's because of this weak letter. Let me show you something. It's kind of technical. I'll just put it out there. If you get it, great. If not, we'll get it as time progresses. Let's take this verb. Ista'ana. Ismul fa'il would actually be based on the patterns musta'winun. So this is originally what happens. I'll just show you the stages that the word will go through to arrive where it is. Musta'winun is ismul fa'il. But we don't, you never hear anybody say musta'winun. Ana musta'winun. You'll hear them say musta'inun. So we'll say musta'winun, but then ayn is a strong letter and waw is weak. And just like in real life, the ayn would steal the kasra from the waw and put it on itself. And then it goes through this phase. Musta'inun. But if you notice, pronouncing a waw with sukun after ayn with kasra is very difficult. So what do? The Arabs just change the waw into a ya, and it becomes musta'inun. So that's the phases that it went through. So let me repeat that for you. So it's originally musta'winun, and then musta'winun is changed into, we take the ayn and steal the kasra and put it on the ayn and give the waw the sukun, and that's very difficult to pronounce. To say that, you'll have to say musta'inun. I don't want to have to say that musta'inun. That's too difficult. So we say musta'inun. See that? Relax. Instead of musta'inun, you say musta'inun. So we change the waw into a ya sakina. The same thing will happen with ismul maf'ul, control V. It will be musta ta wa musta'wanun. So look what happens now. Musta'wanun, the ayn would steal the fatha. Remember that happens a lot in grammar, just as in real life. The strong steal from the poor or the weak. And then we say musta'awunun. And this is easier to pronounce. This is called harful lean. Huh? That's easier to pronounce, but still the Arabs don't like it. So what they do, they change the waw to suit the fatha. So you put alif. So here you have musta'inun and musta'anun. But the original form is musta'winun and musta'wanun. That's the original form of those words. And then they go through the phase where the ayn steals the vowel. And then the pattern for the masdar should be, let's copy this and show you us forming it, control V. Isti'anun. No, isti'wan. Sorry. Oh boy, yeah. This is actually, what did I do? Isti'wanun. That's the original form of the masdar. Isti'wanun. Oh, we have to put a kasra here on this ta. Isti'wanun. Istif'alun. Like istighfarun. Isti'lamun. The pattern istif'alun. The original form of the masdar for ista'ana is isti'wanun. And by the way, ista'ana is originally ista'wana. Ista'wana. That's the original form. Ista'wana. And then the ayn steals the fatha from the waw and the waw becomes with a sukun, and then we say, you know what, it's easier pronouncing a fatha al-alif after fatha instead of a waw with sukun. So ista'ana is originally ista'wana, and the same thing went on there. Now here what will happen here, isti'wanun, the ayn would steal the fatha from the waw, as we've all agreed upon. The strong vowels will keep doing that. Isti, and this would have a sukun here. And then this alif cannot be pronounced here. This alif cannot be pronounced. So what do? The alif that we take away there, we substitute it at the end with a ta. That ta is called ta'ul iwam. This ta actually has a name. It's a iwad for the alif that has been eradicated. So because we threw away the alif, we take this ta and put it at the end to replace it. And then now we change the waw with fatha to suit the alif in front, and it becomes isti'anatun. So that's what this went through, and it's kind of complex, but you will get it eventually. And the same for istakhara. So with istakhara, it would be mustakhirun, mustakharun, and istikharatun, like we do salatul istikhara. Istikhara is originally istikhwarun, but we see all the vowels, the kha stealing the fatha from the waw, and then the alif being substituted by a ta at the ending, and then the waw sakina being changed to an alif, and it becomes istikharatun, istikharatun. And we do salatul istikhara. أنا صليت صلاة الاستخارة فأنا المستخير والله المستخار. And the action al-istikhara, and that is the patterns of ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and al-masdar for the 10 patterns of the trilateral verb. Here I have one question to start with. Do you understand the concept? Not the patterns for each of them. Do you all understand the concept of what we're discussing?
Yes.
So we have the verb, we have the doer of the action, we call subject in English, the name of the subject, the name of the object, the recipient of the action, and then this is the action stripped from the doer, or the doer stripped from the action, al-masdar. Say that again, sister.
أيوة بقول يعني كلمة اشتد دي أنا خدتها في وزن.
أيوة.
اشتد.
اشتد. That would be.
اشتد.
No. اشتد. Let's do that verb for you. So the verb you're asking about is from originally shadda. Shadda. This verb here is originally shadda. Huh? Then when we put it on shadda is originally sha da da. Oops, sha da da. But then what the Arabs would do with this, instead of saying sha da da, we would say shadda, and we double the del and we write it like the shadda. When we put this on the 8th form of the verb, it becomes if ta'ala. So let me put that for you. If ta'ala. So we'll put shadda on the pattern of if ta'ala. If ta'ala. Okay. So what would be shadda? Let me change this. Cut this from here and put that here. Paste. And this is fa'ala. Fa'ala is shadda, and if ta'ala would be, look what happens here. It becomes ish, sheen, ish, and then we put the ta. If ta, I'm pointing at the screen. I need to point with my mouse. So that's the if so far, ish. and this is the ta, and ish, and then we say the dal ishta da. Okay, so let me put that for you. Ishta da. So what we do, the same thing here, is just like we did with shadda, is we put a shadda on the dal and put fatha. So ishtadda is on the pattern of ifta'ala, from shadda. Ishtadda means to become difficult. Shadda alayhi kada kada, such a thing was difficult for him. Fashtadda alayhi, it became difficult. Al-ism al-fa'il would be mushtadun, ism al-maf'ul mushtadun, and al-masdar ishtidadun. Yeah. We don't say mushtidun, we say mushtadun. As ism al-fa'il, mushtidun, mushtadun. Mufta'ilun. And because of the first dal having kasra, the kasra on that dal would be eliminated. So mushtadun would be ismul fa'il also. Anyway, so coming back to this, we learn the fi'l, the verb, ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and the masdar for all 10 patterns of the trilateral verb. Did someone say something? Yeah. And I guess you could stop for Maghrib here. And when we come back, we'll just try to find a few examples in the Quran, inshallah. So inshallah, what we'll do, we'll look at some examples from the Quran of ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and masdar, if we find them, inshallah. So I grabbed this page here and I put it in Word because it's easier to read in Word than it was on the website. And I highlighted them in yellow. Allah says, إذا مس الإنسان الضر دعانا لجنبه أو قاعدا أو قائما. الشاهد من هذه الآية قاعدا اسم الفاعل من قاعدة. قاعدا means sitting. أو قائما اسم الفاعل من قام يقوم. قائم اسم الفاعل, and here it's منصوب, that's why it's قاعدا أو قائما. So that's اسم الفاعل from قاعدة and قام. Allah says in Quran also, وَلْيَكْتُبْ بَيْنَكُمْ كَاتِبٌ بِالْعَدْلِ. وَلْيَكْتُبْ بَيْنَكُمْ كَاتِبٌ بِالْعَدْلِ. كاتب اسم الفاعل من كتب. كاتب كتب فهو كاتب. And let a writer, كاتب, write between you with justice. This is talking about the contracts, debts and contracts. Allah also says in Quran, اتقوا ربكم واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد عن ولده. والد اسم الفاعل من ولد. ولد فهو والد والمرأة والدة. So والد means father. Fear your Lord, or obey your Lord, and fear the day that the father would not benefit his child. فتربصوا إني معكم متربصون. فتربصوا, wait. إني معكم متربصون, I am with you waiting. This is talking to the munafiqeen in Surah At-Tawbah, that the believers are saying to them, just wait, we are waiting with you, meaning to see the results of the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming to pass in helping the believers. متربص. متربص اسم الفاعل من تربص, which is the fifth pattern of the trilateral verb. It's originally ربص, and then you put it on تربص اسم الفاعل متربص والجمع متربصون. ويزيدكم قوة إلى قوتكم ولا تتولوا مجرمين. ومحل شاهد مجرمين. And he increase you in power after your power, and do not turn away as transgressors. مجرمين. مجرمين اسم الفاعل من أجرم, the fourth pattern of the trilateral verb أجرم. مجرم مجرم إجراما. مجرمين originally مجرمون plural, and مجرمين is منصوب because it's حال. ولا تتولوا مجرمين أي حال كونكم مجرمين as sinners. Do not turn away as sinners. Another example, ذلك يوم مجموع له الناس. ذلك يوم مجموع له الناس. وذلك يوم مشهود. That was another example. They cut off the ayah. That Allah says that is a day مجموع له الناس. That will be gathered for it. People would be gathered for it. So جمع mean to gather. جامع الله جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه. That's another ayah in the Quran. إنك جامع الناس. جامع would be اسم الفاعل. مجموع would be اسم المفعول. وظل ممدود. From مد يمد اسم المفعول ممدود. وماء مسكوب من سكب يسكب فهو ساكب. والماء المسكوب mean to be poured. وماء مسكوب اسم الفاعل من سكب excuse me اسم المفعول من سكب مسكوب. ولا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك ولا تبسطها كل البسط فتقعد ملوما محسورا. So we have here مغلولة, ملوم, and محسور are all اسم المفعول. There is a little change here. مغلول مفعول, and we put the ta there in this one extra. ملوم from lama yalumu. Lama yalumu. And this is originally malwum, and then it was changed because of the weak vowel to malum. Mahsur from hasara, yahsuru, mahsur. Maghlul means to be tied or maghlula. Malum to be blamed, and mahsur means to be despondent, to give up hope, hopeless. مذبذبين بين ذلك لا إله هؤلاء ولا إله هؤلاء. This pattern of the verb we haven't studied as yet. This is 4-letter verb from ذبذب. ذبذب. And اسم الفاعل will be مذبذب. مذبذب. Yeah. مذبذبين بين ذلك لا إله هؤلاء. مذبذب means to fluctuate between two things. مذبذبين بين ذلك, they go from side to side. لا إله هؤلاء ولا إله هؤلاء, not with these and not with those. This ayah is describing the munafiqeen. They are not with the believers and they are not with the disbelievers. They bounce between the two. فلا تميلوا كل الميل فتذروها كالمعلقة. معلقة اسم المفعول from علق يعلق فهو معلق. الزوج معلق وزوجته معلقة. معلقة means that he keeps her hanging. What it means, he ignores her. He treats her, he ignores her as if she's not his wife. He doesn't spend time on her or money on her, and he doesn't divorce her. So she is not his wife because he don't treat her like a wife, and she is not a single woman because she's still married to him. But he don't treat her well. So she's mu'allaqa. That's what this ayah is talking about. فَلَا تَمِيلُوا كُلَّ الْمَيْلِ فَتَذَرُوهَا كَالْمُعَلَّقَةِ. This is talking in the state of when a man has more than one wife, in the state of polygyny, and he, with one of his wives or more than one of them or some of his wives, he ignores her or ignores them, such that they are mu'allaqa. So this ismul maf'ul. Allaqa yu'alliqu. Allaqa means to hang. To hang something. Allaqtu kada wa kada ala al-jidar. I hung a picture or whatever it is on the wall. Allaqa. فأنا معلق. I'm the one doing the hanging. وصورته المعلقة. And the picture is the thing that I hung. And here in this case, in this ayah, الرجل هو المعلق and المرأة المعلقة زوجته, and the action is a تعليق. علقها تعليقا. فمن اتقى وأصلح فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. This is a masdar on the pattern of خوف. فعل from خاف يخاف. خوفا is the masdar. يعلم أن الله شديد العقاب. العقاب, عقاب is المصدر from عاقب يعاقب عقابا على وزن فعال. And remember, you can say معاقبة also. Remember, I told you there are two patterns for the verb on فعل, two patterns for the masdar. عاقب فهو الله معاقب والذي يعاقبه هو معاقب والفعل العقاب أو المعاقبة. But here Allah uses العقاب فعال. أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. أو زد عليه, or increase upon it. This is commanding Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to pray at night. This is in Surah Al-Muzammil. And then Allah says, زد عليه mean do more than a thuluth or a nisf, or do less or do a little more. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ, and read the Quran with tartil. فعل الأمر من رتل. رتل فعل. رتل القرآن ترتيلا is masdar. And what it means is to recite the Quran with tartil. Take your time and read it. فالرسول المرتل, ورتل is فعل أمر, والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت يرجع إلى الرسول إلى المزمل وهو الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. فالمرتل بكسر التاء الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. والقرآن المرتل. القرآن المرتل. So the one doing the tartil is Rasulullah. The thing that you do tartil to is the Quran, and the action is tartilan, taf'ilan. And those are a few examples. And there are many more, but inshallah we'll come across them as we read the Quran more. The gist of this lesson is that we have learned ismul fa'il, the patterns of ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul, and the masdar for the 10 trilateral verbs from fa'ala all the way to istaf'ala. One thing to note is that for the first pattern, there are many. For fa'ala, there are many patterns. For the masdar, I only give you one. I only give you one. Like nasara, nasirun, mansurun, nasrun. Darasa darisun, madrusun, darsun. قتل قاتل مقتول قتل. That's one pattern. Very popular pattern, but there are many other patterns for the masdar, for the first form of the verb. But for the other 10, there's only one, except for the third, there is two patterns. And that's the gist of today's lesson, inshallah. Any question on that? I'm sure there's a lot of details that you'll have to remember, but as time progresses, you learn them, they'll become second nature. Inshallah, we stop here today. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.